Alrighty, welcome back. And today is the day of the play-in tournament, but we will have our Eastern Conference standing predictions and our Western Conference standing predictions reactions. Keep in mind, I made this before the season started. These are just my predictions from last year for this season, if you know what I mean. So let's get straight into it. Starting off with the number 15 seed, Detroit Pistons. I was right on with this one. They ended up being the number 15 seed. For pretty obvious reasons, I mean, they're just a bad team. Number 14. We're not going to talk about this one. I'm pretty sure basically everybody had the Knicks at least in the bottom 10. If you had them in the top 12, I would have thought that you were crazy. They ended up jumping 10 seeds more than I thought to the 4 seed. Huge credits to the Knicks, dude. Huge credits. This was my worst take of all time. It had to be. I was spot on with this one too. Cavaliers, 13 seed. They weren't gonna do too much. They're still a young team. I didn't think that they were gonna. I mean, really, I'm being honest. I didn't think that they would end up getting rid of Andre Drummond, and also I didn't think that they would end up getting rid of getting Jared Allen because of that Harden trade. But yeah, they still were. I was still spot on with it. Number 12, Charlotte Hornets. I said number 12 just because I really didn't think that LaMelo was going to play like how he did. Hayward was looking really, really nice at the beginning of the year before his wrist injury. And Devontae Graham, Terry Rozier was on a mission to start off the season. But, yeah, they ended up jumping to the 10 seed. I kind of underestimated them. But nothing is going to compare to how underestimated the Knicks were to me. Number 11, I had the Magic. Keep in mind, at the beginning of the season, they still had Vucevic, Fournier, Aaron Gordon, all those guys, and they ended up trading all of them away at the trade deadline, of course, and they just decided to tank. So I really did not think that they were going to drop to number 14, but I think that 11 was a pretty good spot for them. They were around this area between 10 and 12 during before the trade deadline when they were about to trade every single one of their players. Chicago Bulls, I said that they would be 10. They ended up being 11. Now, I was looking back on this, right? I had them at number 10. And, they traded for Vooch. I was like, oh, they're going to jump to the top 7 or 6. They ended up dropping lower than I expected. And they had a better team than they did before the Vooch trade. I don't even know what happened. I guess Levine had the COVID protocols and, they don't even have their first round pick. I think it belongs to the Magic. So the Magic have 2 lottery picks. So everything's going in their way, I guess. But yeah, I kind of I don't even know. I kind of overestimated the Bulls even with a better team. But what can I do? Wizards at 9. They ended up jumping to the 8. This was a pretty accurate one if you ask me. 9 to 8, pretty similar. But, yeah, I think that Beal Westbrook, they also made that trade for, I'm forgetting. They made a couple of trades at the deadline. The biggest one, I think, was for Gafford, unless I'm forgetting one. No, I think biggest one was definitely for Gafford. I don't think he's the starter. I think starter's still Lopez or Len. But Gafford was definitely a huge help. He very much is, and Westbrook has been on a tear lately. And one of the main reasons that the Wizards are going to be the 8th seed and possibly in the playoffs. Now at number 8, I had the Atlanta Hawks. They were a very young team. They are a very young team, obviously, still. And I thought that it would take them some time to develop, but they would have their first playoff appearance in a while. But they ended up firing Lloyd Pierce mid-season. They ended up hiring their assistant coach, Nate McMillan, to head coach. And it was a good move, obviously. They jumped up to number 5. They won 4 games in a row after Nate McMillan was promoted to head coach. And they kind of surprised me. They were the 4th seed, although I don't think that they will get past the first round. I think that the Knicks should beat them in at least maybe 6 or 7. But that's going to be definitely a fun series. 2 young teams to watch out for. But the Hawks I definitely underestimated, so credits to them. Number 7, the Pacers. Listen, I had them at 7 because I thought that they could easily jump up to top 6. I thought that if anything I was underestimating them, but Brogdon, Sabonis were playing top 5 MVP candidates to start the season off, and since then their whole entire team kind of dropped. TJ Warren is obviously out for the season. they did have some injuries between Sabonis, Brogdon, and, like, of course, Karis LeVert was the biggest one. They traded Oladipo, got Karis LeVert. He ended up being out for a couple months. So that was definitely their biggest losses. He's been one of their biggest helps this season. Um, I think that if Karis LeVert definitely played for those couple months that he was out for, he definitely would, I think that the Pacers should be in the top 8 or 7 or 6, if I'm being honest. So I think that the Pacers should be pretty good next year with Turner, Sabonis, Brogdon, and LeVert all hopefully healthy. But they're playing a game against the Hornets. Hornets, yeah. And I just made my predictions yesterday, so if you have not watched those, you should go watch it now. Now, at number 6, I had the Toronto or Tampa Bay Raptors, because that's where they were playing. I had them at number 6 because I think it was pretty obvious. They're coming off of a season where they were what? I'm trying to think. They were the 2 seed. No. Wow, the Raptors were the 2 seed. They were only 2 games back from the number 1 seed too. Wow. All right. Well, that's kind of not too great, dropping from number 2 to 12. The Knicks jumped up 10 seeds. The Raptors dropped down 10. So I don't think anybody really expected the Raptors, if anything, to miss the playoffs. It was I had them. I was thinking when I was making this, a ton of people called me crazy for having the Raptors this low, and that was the closest one, and I was way off too. So Raptors, everybody overestimated them. They ended up just not playing good. They did have some COVID injuries stuff. They now were starting to rethink if they should have traded Lowry. He'll probably re-sign, but I mean, out of a 36-year-old, you might as well trade to get some young pieces, whether it's... I can't even think. But I guess if we're talking about the Sixers, maybe Maxey or Matisse Thybulle, or maybe Miami, we can talk about non-Hero or Duncan, at least one of those, or Achua. And then maybe even with the Lakers, you could go after a guy like... They don't even have any young assets. Maybe TH2, but the Lakers weren't willing to trade him. For... number 5, I think I had probably the Heat here. 76ers. Oh, Lord. Oh, gosh. I had the Heat and the Celtics. I haven't even said the Celtics yet. I had the Celtics higher than the 76ers. Oh, Lord. Of course, they ended up being the 1 seed. Joel Embiid played like an MVP. Ben Simmons picked up his act. Toby's playing like an all-star. They signed Dwight Howard. He's playing great as backup center. Ooh, sorry, Philly fans. This was a bad take. I don't think anybody had them as the 1 seed. I don't think anybody got any of these right, other than maybe the Pistons at 15 and like the Cavs at 13 or something. But yeah, 76ers definitely, I kind of underestimated them, so credits to them. For number 4, I did have the Miami Heat. They ended up dropping to 6. Listen, we saw last season... The Miami Heat, I'm wearing merch. Hold on, can you see? We saw last season that the Miami Heat are not a regular season team. They are a playoff team. Made the finals as what, the 5 seed was it? Maybe, I think it was the 5 seed. So it'll be interesting to see their series with the Bucks. But I think it's pretty obvious why I had them at 4. They literally were coming off of a finals appearance in the East. Like, I mean, they were the best team in the East last season, obviously. So... It would have made sense to have them at 1, but it's 6. Of course, Jimmy Butler was out for the first half of the season, between some injuries, some COVID protocols. Kind of messed up our first half of the season. We started off as the 7-14, like the 13 seed, jumped up to number 6. So you gotta trust Spo. And of course, trade for Victor Oladipo. We wouldn't even have Oladipo. Imagine us with Oladipo, dude. It's gonna be insane next season. But he could miss next season, so I don't even know if we're going to re-sign him. Oh, number 3, I had the Celtics. This hurts. Doesn't hurt me, because, I mean, I don't love to see a team do bad, but I don't love to see a team do better than us. You know what I mean? So, Boston dropped to number 7. They had their stuff with, of course, Jaylen Brown being out now for the rest of the season. Tatum in protocols. He had COVID, I believe. So, of course, each team had their injuries, their reasons, between the Raptors, Heat, Celtics, everybody, even the Pacers. So, yeah, I definitely expected a lot out of the Celtics, but definitely not to fall to number 7. I expect at least top 5, so we'll have to see their play and stuff. But either way, I don't think that they're going to get past the first round if they can even get past a team like the Wizards. So the Wizards are going to be it's going to be a nice matchup tomorrow, or I guess today by the time I'm posting this. But moving on, number 2, I guess I probably have Bucks and Nets here. Number 2, I have the Nets. Interesting. They are the number 2 seed, so I was actually spot on with this. I was gonna say that they did not have all their chemistry built up yet, of course, and it wouldn't be enough to take home. It wouldn't be enough to take the number 1 seed from Milwaukee. But the Nets also did not even have, like, they've literally had their top 3. But I also did not really think that the Nets would trade for James Harden. Like, I did not think that would happen. Of course, this is back in December. He was traded to them in January. So I didn't know that this was going to happen. So even with them getting another superstar, they still were the 2 seed. I was spot on. That's how good I am. Number 1, I had the Bucks. Ended up being the 3 seed. So, I wasn't completely off. I think that the main I was off with was, let me go back to it. It was the worst take of all time. Let's go back to see how bad these were. All right, Pistons, pretty accurate. Knicks, the worst take of all time. I mean, I think a lot of people then had the worst take of all time, but it was my worst take that I've ever made before. This was spot on, not too bad, pretty accurate. It was kind of off, but it was also the same with the Hornets. It's in the area. This was pretty accurate. This one was, I think nobody really expected them to fall to the bottom 10 seed. This was another bad take, but I really didn't expect it. 76ers, I underestimated them. But this was pretty accurate. The Boston Celtics kind of overestimated them. Accurate and decently accurate. So it wasn't too bad. If I'm being honest. Wait till we get to the West. I think West I had some major problems. That video is going to be coming, I think, I think this video is going to be posted at, I'm recording this on May 17th. This video is going to be posted at exactly 10 a.m. And the Western Conference standings predictions from last year will be posted at 1 o'clock. So if it's past 1 o'clock, then go watch it right now. That's going to wrap up. Hope you guys have a great day. The playing tournament's later tonight. It's going to be fun to watch. Hope you guys have a great day. Peace.